Welcome to Bit Center. My name is Roland, and this is our first episode, the Genesis Block. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can be the first to see our new episode.
And I'm Win. It's Saturday, February 13th. Today, I will be talking about how the city of Miami and companies such as Twitter and Uber are responding differently to Bitcoin's emergence as a treasury reserve asset.
And I'll be discussing Bitcoin and on-chain analysis, Bitcoin and human rights, and Bitcoin does not waste energy. Let's start the show.
Well, I think in the current monetary environment, cash is diluted to shareholder value. If you can't get a return risk-free in excess of 15% on your assets, you're not going to keep up with the rate of M2 monetary expansion. So the pitch in essence is convert a non-performing asset into the best performing asset.
All right, here's a friendly reminder on why you need Bitcoin. Take a look for yourself. Central banks are printing money like never before. Tens of trillions of dollars are being printed globally. Look at Canada's balance sheet. Straight line upwards, more than tripled their monetary supply over the past couple of years. Take a look at the Fed's balance sheet. It had been constantly expanding for decades, but then in 2008, it skyrocketed straight upward and again in 2020. Now it's at $7 trillion. You can also see the Fed M2 money supply always increasing every single year. Central banks and governments are clearly showing the entire world why we need Bitcoin. Moral of the story, buy Bitcoin now.
This week, Miami continues to be a leader in Bitcoin as Mayor Suarez makes his case for Bitcoin to be used as a payment method for payrolls as well as taxes. Here's a highlight of what Mayor Suarez wishes to accomplish.
To procure a vendor to be able to offer our employees to get a percentage of their salary in Bitcoin, allows our residents to pay for fees in Bitcoin, and also would allow the city manager to cooperate with Miami-Dade County to allow for taxes to be paid in Bitcoin.
Negative interest rates are coming, believe it or not. They're already here in some areas, but Panetta, the European Central Bank executive, said that they'll likely penalize anyone saving more than 3,000 euros by imposing a -1% to -2% interest rate on their money. And they might need even to go lower at times. Really good Preston Pysh podcast with Willy and PlanB, and they discuss on-chain analysis. Very informative podcast. Willy explains how the Bitcoin blockchain metric data is showing that whales have been accumulating for a much longer period of time this cycle compared to all prior cycles. Very bullish. PlanB talks about his stock to flow, as well as Bitcoin futures, derivatives, options, etc., and how lucrative that space is and how the global $100 trillion bond market won't be able to resist for much longer at their 1% interest rates, some of it negative yielding. Take a couple listens of a couple clips from that pod.
The inventory starts to drop. These players come in and they buy those coins and they take them off the exchanges. They put them into cold storage and they just keep accumulating. Then the amount of whales, which are holders of more than 1,000 coins, so around $35-40 million of Bitcoin upwards, they're exploding in numbers right now. And we've never seen such a sharp climb in that species of holders.
All right, this next segment is on Bitcoin promoting human rights. Alex Gladstein of the Human Rights Foundation explains how Bitcoin is allowing people in many countries all over the world escape extreme inflation, censorship, seizure of their capital, closure of their bank accounts, and all sorts of other types of oppression. There's a ton of FUD out there trying to convince people that Bitcoin is bad for various reasons, but Alex sets the record straight because he actually is on the ground in dozens of these countries witnessing how Bitcoin is providing freedoms to millions of people that they've never had before. This is a fantastic talk. You should definitely give it a listen. We'll provide you the link. Here's a couple clips.
As in Hong Kong recently, any actor, institution, or individual who's been donating to the democracy movement is at risk of having their bank account frozen. Many people have had their bank accounts frozen. And it's what the government is trying to do is sort of constrict civil society space. So again, Bitcoin kind of gives us a way out. So you're also seeing Bitcoin being used in an activist sense. So for example, there have been pro-democracy movements in countries like Belarus and Nigeria over the last few months, where the government monitors and shuts down the bank accounts and fintech apps of people involved in those protests.
All right, this next segment's about Bitcoin not wasting energy. According to Yassine, he's an analyst at ARK Invest. He perfectly lays out Bitcoin mining and how it uses renewable energies and many mining operations utilizing stranded energy that would otherwise have been lost, wasted, or polluted our air. One of many different examples is how Bitcoin mining is eliminating gas flares by capturing that energy to use for mining. He also lays out how gold mining and our legacy monetary systems use exponentially more energy than Bitcoin. He explains that Bitcoin transactions don't use energy. It's the Bitcoin mining that does. And as we know, 89% of the Bitcoin have already been mined. So Bitcoin energy usage is actually on the decline. Also, when you consider how much good Bitcoin provides for humanity, the energy required is negligent. Should we take paddle boats and bicycles around instead of airplanes or cars? No. New technologies that provide immense use cases for humans and improves their lives typically require energy. Check out this thread and research. Nick Carter also writes up a great explanation on this topic. We'll provide you the links.
We're seeing more corporations discuss utilizing Bitcoin as a method of payment for their products and as compensation for their employees. Here's Twitter CFO Ned Siegel.
And when we think about our balance sheet, we think about matching how it's invested and the currencies in which it's invested relative to how we might pay people, whether it's paying somebody who's providing a service to us or paying employees. So we've done a lot of the upfront thinking to consider how we might pay employees should they ask to be paid in Bitcoin, how we might pay a vendor if they ask to be paid in Bitcoin, and whether we need to have Bitcoin on our balance sheet should that happen.
While companies like Twitter, MicroStrategy, Tesla, and others see the potential of holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet, not all CEOs feel the same way. Here's a recent clip from the CEO of Uber.
We're going to keep our cash safe. We're not in the speculation business. The upside in our company is in the business that we build, not the investments that we invest in.
What we have here are differing philosophies regarding a company's treasury and what to do with retained earnings. But on another note, here's our fudster of the week. And it's none other than Nouriel Roubini, who makes some statements that I don't think are going to age very well. Let's check it out.
In the case of Bitcoin, it doesn't have any income, it doesn't have any use, it doesn't have any utility. So what's the value of it based on what? Based on no intrinsic value and purely a speculative bubble. That's why I argue that Bitcoin, like all the other shit coins, are worth zero, actually negative given the hogging of energy and their mental cost. Is a speculative bubble that is based on pump and dump, spoofing, wash trading, and manipulation by Tether. There's a total scam. That's irresponsible behavior. And there's not going to be any corporate head who's going to put his cash, as you pointed out clearly, into something that is so volatile.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. We provided links to everything we discussed down below. Let us know what sort of content you would like to see in the future or other comments you may have for us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, and we're also going to give away 5,000 sats to a couple lucky winners who retweet this video. Be sure to tag us so we know you're eligible. And we're going to leave you with your favorite Bitcoin evangelist, Michael Saylor.
Once in 1,000 years, do you actually see the invention of a fundamentally new thing? This is our once in 1,000 year opportunity. You get to buy into it early. Guys, it's digital gold. You should treat it like gold. You should buy it and hold it forever. And then my advice to you would be to borrow against it tax-free. Never pay capital gains. Never take an operating income. You know, if you must sell it, I don't think you should, because it's the highest quality property in the world and in the history of the world. We never invented a technically more thermodynamically sound, pure monetary property than this, right? This should be the container for the money you're going to hold for your grandchildren. This is it. Better than gold, better than a stock, better than real estate, better than a Picasso, even if you love a Picasso, right?